Before, during, and after a tragedy, there's one organization you can count on. What is it? You'll find out on this morning's Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Stevens Floor Covering Center on Highway 17 Bypass in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross. And we're visiting with its executive director, Angela Nicholas. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Greg.
Sometimes get stumped on folks early in the morning trying to get things out at 7 a.m. It's a stretch. But
it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. It's particularly great to have you, knowing that we knew you couldn't get lost getting over here.
That's right.
Having worked next door for about 4 years.
Yes, I did. I was an editor at the Sun News.
Right, which was particularly exciting to see after having been an editor at another Herald, since we were with the Myrtle Beach Herald, the Sylva Herald, for I think quite a while.
Right, and in my hometown of Sylva, I began my career there and worked up to editor.
Which was tremendous, yeah, in Western North Carolina, and then later joining the Sun News down here. And I think I saw you were editor of the Horry County Gazette, the Conway, the western part of the counties.
Right. I started with the Sun News as editor of the Gazette, and then eventually worked into the neighbors section, four-zone neighbors section, and remained editor of the Gazette as well.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
So it was a busy job.
Yeah. So you had the Gazette, and then the four zones of the neighbors section, which is principally the Thursday additional section that comes in.
Right. The feature section,
yes,
local news,
which has great local content.
It does.
My home on the south end of Myrtle Beach was getting some great, there's a columnist, I can't remember her name, a woman who lives in Murrells Inlet, who was writing a great piece.
Jackie Nelson?
Jackie Nelson, exactly.
Yeah.
We had in the South Strand Neighbors portion a great piece. I think Tori Tall's now doing something for them.
For the Myrtle Beach section.
On the Myrtle Beach section. And she was actually, strangely enough, in the South Strand section a couple weeks ago and doing a great job. So the Sun News is really making it happen. Of course, being next door, real easy knowing, again, you'd be here on time and know how to get here this morning. Thanks again for coming in. The Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross is happening. A lot going on right now. I understand you all had a devastating series of fires in the month of January.
Absolutely. January, February, when the weather gets cold, it's always a time when people are using alternative heat sources. And I don't know how it happens, but it just seems like the fires increase during that time of year. And during January, we had more than 15 home fires. We spent several $1,000s in assistance helping families. And it's truly the day-to-day operation of the Red Cross that a lot of people are not really aware of, is that we respond almost every day to home fires. In fact, our statistics show that it's at least 3 fires a week.
Golly.
So we're very busy with that.
And of course, we're talking the Coastal South Carolina chapter is not only Horry and Georgetown, but Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg counties.
That's right.
The first largest, the third largest, and I believe the fourth largest counties geographically in the state of South Carolina.
It's a large territory, about 3,000 square miles, and a population of approximately 300,000 people.
Golly.
So it's a lot to cover.
And of course, we here in Myrtle Beach oftentimes think we're the center of the world, particularly the center of South Carolina, and clearly we're just one small portion of your very large territory for your volunteers and all the firefighters and volunteer firefighters. Yes. Being out constantly, spreading out over those 3,000 square miles. It's a big, big deal.
It is, and because it is spread out and some of the areas are rural, it makes the response even more important. A lot of these folks are in areas of the county that are, of more need for assistance, and also our volunteer base. We have to be sure that we have volunteers from all areas of our coverage areas so that we can respond as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. I want to focus on you a little bit, Angela, but for folks who need to get off to work now or out to school, what's a good number for someone to call to get some basic information, and do y'all have a website?
We do, and the easiest way is to call our headquarters here in Myrtle Beach at 477-0020, or check our website, which is just stock full of good information for you. That's www.coastalscarc.org.
Okay, www.coastalscarc.org.
Right.
And the 843-477-0020 number.
Right.
And the great thing is, seeing y'all are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, but y'all are really open 24/7.
Oh, we are. We're on call 24/7. Once we leave the office, we roll the phones over to a 24-hour answering service, and we are available by telephone as needed at any hour of the day or night. So,
Interesting. You said you're from Western North Carolina. Grew up in Western North Carolina.
right.
How long have you been in this area?
My husband and I moved here about 6 years ago after he retired, and
Okay.
we just decided we wanted to live at the beach, and we chose Myrtle Beach as our area. So we really enjoyed living here.
Absolutely.
A lot to do here.
And a lot of folks, I'm sure, who grow up on the coast think, I never want to live in the coast anymore. Let's go up to the mountains. Let's be in Western North Carolina, for instance.
Well, when I tell them I moved here from Asheville, which is where we were living, they all immediately say, "Why, are you crazy? We all want to go to Asheville." But,
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the way it is. But I have the best of both worlds. My family's still in the mountains, so I go enjoy the mountains, and then I come home to the warmer weather at the beach. So.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure they enjoy coming down to
They
see
do. They do.
Angela and Al. That's exciting. And, of course, getting in the newspaper business, that's a pretty big shift. Having been in the publishing industry for a long, long time, and now in desperate activities of serving folks in fired situations or
Right.
who need blood or otherwise.
Well, I spent about 20 years in the news industry, and of course, during that entire time, when I was a reporter, I was going out covering fires and disasters that people were dealing with, and I was working with the firemen and the public emergency safety folks. So it was easier to transition because I did have, a focus on that area in the news industry. But it's certainly a different type of work, and I'm really enjoying working with the Red Cross because it has such a wonderful mission. We know that we're there helping individuals every day, and when we go home at night, we have a really good feeling.
Oh, yeah. You've got to. Every night.
Yes.
That's right, every night. There were some big words, and the website had a couple of key phrases. One was, all disaster assistance is free of charge.
Oh,
All
absolutely.
so that means y'all are constantly needing to continue to fund the mission, essentially, to make sure there's dollars to support the families that are stricken, or the neighbors that are stricken, or the folks that to put up hotels. Or how do y'all go about getting the funds to run the American Red Cross, the local chapter?
Well, the local chapters are responsible for raising all their own funds. We do not receive any government assistance. We
Wow.
are not a government agency, but we are chartered by Congress to provide the services to the public, which is an interesting concept. But we do have to rely on local fundraising and donors to support our services. And we are in need of that assistance now. As you can imagine, with that many fires in January, it was really devastating at this time of the year when donations are typically down.
Right.
So it's really important for people to remember that the dollars donated to the local Red Cross go right back into the local community.
They stay here.
They absolutely do, because all these individuals, in calendar year 2006, we assisted over 817 people in our community. That's a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And almost half of those were children.
Is that
So
right?
all of those individuals that lost their home or lost a portion of their home, that was a devastating emergency for them. And the Red Cross provides emergency shelter and food and clothing for each of those family members.
Really?
To help them get back on their feet again.
Well, y'all desperately, I mean, you do need donations then on a year-round basis, not just coming in spurts. You need it constantly.
Oh, absolutely.
If a viewer wanted to be involved, either as a volunteer possibly to come in to help you, assist you getting donations brought in, or to actually make a donation, is it best to call the phone number, or could they actually just mail in a donation?
Well, they can mail it in to 2795 Pampas Drive in Myrtle Beach with
Okay.
29577, or they can make a credit card donation by calling the 477-0020 phone number. We do
Okay.
take over-the-phone donations.
And again, that's 2795 Pampas Drive, Pampas Drive in Myrtle Beach, 29577.
That's right.
And of course, I'm sure fires don't discriminate. They come after
No.
anyone and everyone.
They
Much like
absolutely
many
do.
other diseases or other things, fires do not discriminate, and the families that are impacted run the gamut. They have the same needs as anyone else when they're
Right.
afflicted with a fire.
Right. And we work closely with all the fire departments to be sure that they notify the families that the Red Cross assistance is available if they choose to have it. It's the sort of thing where the family decides, do they have other family members they can go stay with, or are they left out in the cold with bare feet in pajamas, which, in the middle of the night if you have a fire, that's often the way the clients are left. So when the fire department calls us, we get our volunteers out there any hour. We have them go out at 4 a.m., whatever it takes to be sure that we can arrange shelter for those individuals. So it's a very important part of what we do.
For viewers who possibly couldn't make a donation, are there still needs that you all have in the office? Do you have volunteer needs, or out of the office? Are there volunteer needs that viewers could be involved in?
Sure, we are a volunteer-run organization. My chapter has only 8 staff members, so the rest of what we do, we have to rely on trained volunteers. So we're always seeking good volunteers, and right now we do have a need for some individuals that would like to just work in the office, helping to answer the phone, helping to schedule our CPR and first aid classes and the other services that we provide. And then we have the disaster volunteers, which is another level of training, which again is all free training to our volunteers. And those disaster volunteers would learn how to service the individuals that have a need. And that can be from, a major hurricane, tornado, fire, flooding, any of the natural disasters or even man-made disasters. We have to think about terrorist attacks at this point in time.
Right.
What could happen? In fact, we're also educating on the pandemic influenza and the possibilities that could happen in our community should we have a major pandemic, which could be really devastating to the public as well. So another aspect of Red Cross is that we educate and try to help people plan ahead for any type of emergency or disaster.
Education is so important, and I know a lot of viewers may not have access to the internet, but if they can find a way, go to a public library, go to a neighbor, otherwise, to get to coastallscarc.org, there's some tremendous information on there that's supported by the National Red Cross site. There's
Absolutely.
great information that comes in that way. But there's so much, as I went through it earlier this morning to see about the pandemic flu, the possibility there to be concerned about that. Of course, the shelters, some of your local partners, many ways to make donations, you said, either online or just calling in, the 843-477-0020 number.
Right.
But other great information, and of course, blood. Blood
Yes.
donation's a big issue right now.
It is a big issue at this time of the year again, and I think that begins even back during the holidays. A lot of people are busy and they forget that there's still a need. So we do have a link on our website that will take people right to the information they need to know how to donate in their area.
Angela, share with viewers, of course, you all went through a couple of years ago when you joined the chapter. It was in the midst of a restructuring. Georgetown and Williamsburg merging together. That's a pretty big deal. What was that like, and what precipitated it, and how have things worked out?
Well, it's worked out very well. I'll say that up front. It was a part of National Red Cross's look at back office expenses and what makes sense. And obviously, Horry County chapter and the Georgetown chapter are both working with coastal risk issues.
Right.
We're a very at-risk area. So it made sense for us to join forces and work together rather than, each of us trying to raise our own funds and trying to coordinate volunteer training. So it's really, really been tremendous. The boards came together as one, the staff came together, and it's been very good for the public, we feel.
Absolutely, and you still maintain 2 great offices, one
We
for
do.
the Georgetown and Williamsburg area, I saw actually named after Dick Rosen and his wife's mother, which
That's
was
right.
great. I saw that last
Emma
night.
Rosen. The Georgetown Service Center is named for Mrs. Emma Rosen.
Right.
And,
So you're still maintaining the 2 offices, the one in Georgetown and obviously the one in Horry County on the former Myrtle Beach Air Force Base.
That's correct.
Which is an exciting opportunity for folks in Horry and Georgetown to know if they need to find a place that they can go volunteer. If they can't drive all the way to Myrtle Beach on a regular basis, I'm sure they could go help out over there, to be in the office to call for donations or otherwise. Do you all actually have a local volunteer board of directors, Angela, or is it? I know you talked about volunteers drive the the mission.
Yes. Yes, we are operated by a board of directors. We can have up to 40 board members.
4-0.
It's a big board. Right now we have about 32 members on our board.
Is that right?
So we do have some room if there are individuals that are interested in serving with the Red Cross. And John Trudeau is our chapter board chair.
Oh, great. We love John.
So he has been a really good leader and led us through the merger and the changes that we've gone through. So we really rely on our board of directors to guide us in the right direction and make sure that we stay on track.
Absolutely. And you all are also partnered with the United Way locally.
Yes, we are a United Way community partner agency. We receive annual United Way funding, which helps us survive and provide the services that we need.
So some of those dollars clearly reinvested back in the community.
Absolutely.
Those dollars that are raised locally reinvested back in groups like the American Red Cross and others. And of course, to know that even as a United Way partner, there's still dramatic needs locally, and the donations will help enable you all to support the families that are victims of fires. Did you say 205 fires hitting in 2006?
That's correct.
That's incredible in the 3 counties.
Right, and we provided over $112,000 in assistance for those fires. So it adds up quickly. Back last fall, we, the local media, as you know, you were a part of, helped raise funds for the United Way Fire Victims Fund, and we raised about $20,000 to $21,000. Within 3 months, that money was used already.
Wow.
To provide assistance for fire families. So it goes very quickly, and like you said, there's just a constant need to replenish those funds so that we can be sure that we have assistance there when the people need it.
Share with viewers, other than the service, which would be a full-time job or full-time activity for virtually any group of providing for fire families, what are some of the other, and of course we talked about blood donation, what are some of the other activities going on in the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross?
Well, as you're familiar with, because you've assisted us wonderfully with some of the CPR and first aid equipment, is that we do have the health and safety life training program where we can assist individuals or businesses with training their employees, and even families need this assistance to take CPR and first aid. We have bloodborne pathogens training, babysitter training for the young teens that want to learn how to babysit and know how to deal with infants or children if they get in distress. Lifeguard and swimming is huge here on the coast, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And we have so many wonderful stories where people have used those skills, and it's made such a difference in their family or in their business and saving lives. So that's one aspect. And then, of course, historically, the Red Cross has always worked with military. So we are the agency. If you have family in Iraq, you have an emergency that you need information to get to your loved one, you would go through the Red Cross. We get directly in touch with the superiors in the military, and we can help arrange to bring those people home for a funeral or a dire emergency.
Oh, yeah.
So that immediate emergency military communications. And also providing loans to military personnel who get in distress. We do get reimbursed for that from military, but it allows the individual to come to the Red Cross, and if they qualify, they would get immediate money for an emergency that they're having.
That's tremendous.
And sometimes that involves, if there has been a death in another state and they need to get on an airplane right away, but they don't have the funds to do that. So we do that, and we also provide a lot of referrals to the other nonprofit agencies in the area. If you have a situation that we can't assist you with, if it's not a part of the Red Cross mission, then we will help you find that assistance elsewhere. And then the education, as I talked about, planning ahead, helping
people. You do it all, Angela. You've still got more things coming out of what you all do. This is incredible.
Well, we are constantly educating our staff and our volunteers, and we just have to rely on a lot of volunteer assistance.
Yes, volunteers, the big V.
It is.
You all also, and I didn't mean to cut you off to get you distracted on that. I couldn't believe you'd have more coming out. You were about to say the Christmas Day dinner and the other big events that you all put on. Of course, we've had Janice Ash Saliano with us Mel Tiller's been with us, John's been with us in the past. You've had a tremendous cadre of folks coming in, board members or volunteers, but to hear Janice talk about the annual Christmas Day dinner that she's been involved with for a long time.
18 years.
Is that right? Golly, yeah, yeah.
So that's another thing. We raise about $10,000 each year to provide that Christmas Day dinner for the individuals who might not have a Christmas Day dinner, or
Right.
individuals who might be at home alone or shut-ins.
Oh, yeah.
And so this year we served over 3,000 meals.
Did you really? At First Presbyterian Church and at Blaine Methodist, United
Right.
Methodist Church, those
And then
two locations?
Those two locations plus the deliveries that we
Plus
arranged.
the deliveries.
So-
You've got the great services of the Myrtle Beach Convention Center, the Mark Rubicki and
Yes.
the crew there at, I can't remember the name of the group, but their catering division really goes out, opens up the kitchen there to make that happen for you all.
Right, the Sheraton Myrtle Beach Convention Hotel, I'll
Right,
get that
right.
name right.
Yeah.
They were very generous
Oh, yeah.
every year in allowing us to use that kitchen. And Mark has been, I think he's been the chef that has prepared the food for over 10 years now.
Is that right? Golly.
So it's a tremendous effort, and again, relying on a couple of hundred volunteers that come in and pitch in and make all that happen every year.
Angela, we just got a couple of minutes. You know, you think about that impact for families when you stress what they're going through, and I know it's probably a very powerful emotional thing for the volunteers that arrive on the scene, or for the firefighters
Oh, it is.
and the paramedics and others that arrive immediately. It's probably a very emotional thing that people would have difficulty imagining. Are there a couple of words that, or anything you can share with viewers to help drive home the need for donations? And
Well, I can just share the first thing that impacted me after I began working as executive director, and a couple came into the lobby of our office, and they were sitting out there, and I got up and went out because I smelled this. I smelled smoke. And I went out and realized it was a family that had had a home fire, and all they'd gotten out with was the clothes that they had on, and they were just covered in smoke. And you know, it just really drove home to me what happens, how devastating it is to a family. That, you know, they could hardly even speak. They're so devastated. So unless you've been there and seen that, you just don't realize how important it is to help these individuals get back on their feet again. It's heartbreaking.
I can't imagine. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of viewers couldn't imagine that as well. And that's probably why it's so critical to get folks into the office, to give them the experience. And of course, I think you said Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. They're truly volunteer needs. And you just never know when you'd bump into somebody, or the need would be there for someone to be out on the scene to help those families.
And if I could just make one correction, I said something wrong a few minutes ago. Our Georgetown Service Center is the Irma L. Rosen.
Irma, not Emma.
Right,
That's right.
I said that name wrong, and I apologize.
No,
But,
no, that's fine.
The
And I-
Rosens have been wonderful supporters, and that chapter, that service center down there is so fabulous because, as you know, we expanded that territory into Williamsburg County, and it really helps to be able to have staff and volunteers in all of our area, all our coverage areas.
Oh, yes, very definitely. You know, you highlighted so many of those aspects, whether it's the health and safety skills training, the disaster response to not only fires, but to hurricanes, to tornadoes, to any number of things. In these three
Flooding.
gigantic counties covering 3,000 square miles, dollars have to come in to help make that happen, not just from the United Way, particularly when you're chartered by Congress to be available and made to happen, but not getting dollars from the American government. There's a real need to keep the flow coming in, whatever it is. You'll take donations, I assume, of any level.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I've had individuals say before, we're just so thankful that we have a Red Cross chapter in our community.
Right.
You know, some people have lived in areas where they didn't have a chapter right in their immediate community, and they could feel the difference.
Oh, yeah.
So we're certainly reaching out and trying to make sure that we have services in every nook and cranny of America, and that's a goal of Red Cross, that we're focusing highly on that.
Those are great words. Angela, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Angela Nicholas coming up next. Wish you could have heard Angela off camera as she was saying if people could see the children coming in after fires, devastated, it's heartbreaking. It's words like that. We can't put it into words. It's disasters, not only like fires, tornadoes, hurricanes. They're happening all the time. We may not be obliterated by a hurricane anytime soon, but the families that are impacted by a fire, their lives are obliterated. Donations need to come in. The American Red Cross needs them. Lots of organizations need them. But the American Red Cross, more than 15 fires last month, the month of January, in Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg counties. The donations need to come in. Please think of the American Red Cross when you're thinking of stepping out and reaching deep. 843-477-0020. CoastalSCARC.org or 2795 Pampas Drive in Myrtle Beach, 29577. Give them a call, send them a letter, go online, find a way to dig deep and support the American Red Cross.